Welcome to Deep Thought, Seeking Leverage. Now, I brought this up in my previous podcast on this channel about control, right? And, you know, my thing throughout my life is having control over it, having control over my circumstances and everything, right? But when I really think about it, control is virtually impossible, even if you have a lot of money, right? For example, let's hypothetically say I'm a billionaire, right? And maybe one day I'll be motivated enough to try to even make $1 billion, right? But let's say I'm a billionaire. That doesn't necessarily mean I have control over my life, but I have leverage over my life. The reason why I say that is a billionaire makes their money through a system. Now, they might have some leverage within that system, but they ultimately don't control that system because the real system is a combination of them and what the people do, right? Social customs. In fact, they gave me an idea for my next podcast. I like how when I talk, I can get ideas for stuff because I never have anything at first. Anyway, a billionaire wouldn't really have total control, but they would have more leverage than another person, like the average person, right? They would have way more leverage. Why? Well, one, they got purchasing power, right? They have ability to influence how people will behave towards them. You know, if a billionaire goes into a restaurant, they get great service automatically, especially if people know who they are. And plus, even if they do go into a restaurant where people don't know who they are, they typically ain't gonna go into, like, you know, one of these like chain restaurants or something. You know, no disrespect. They not gonna go into a Red Robin or an IHOP typically, right? They gonna go into high end stuff where they gonna get it. But then that's a form of leverage, right? But they don't have total control. You know, they can go into one of those places and they still might get lousy service, right? Because a person might just say, you know, I don't like how they look. I'm gonna spit in their food. I'm gonna go pee in their food or something. Or I'm gonna just go and give them bad service anyway, right? But you still have leverage. Now the leverage is complaining about the bad service, but you don't have control over that other person's ability, because really, in order to have total control over anything in life, you had to have control over other people and how they treat you. And that's impossible. Also, another aspect of it is, you know, if you paying a mortgage or something, or you paying bills or something, that's not control. It's more like you trading services. Now, but you do have leverage, right? By how you pay your stuff, who you pay it to, you know, that's leverage. So, you know, as I grew older, you know, like I said, when I was young, I wanted control, but then I realized, okay, no one can have total control over like everything around them. In fact, the only control someone could truly have in life is over their reactions to the world. That's it. You can't control. I mean, like, there's a false belief of people can control other people. You can't. You know, and I get some people, they say, well, how can I control this person or something? You can't. If you're doing it, it's an illusion. Even if it looks like you're controlling another person, no, they're just making a choice just to go along with your program. And on a practical level, a lot of times they'll find a way to rebel. But you do have control over your own self. That's it. So when you're dealing with anything outside of yourself, the most you can have is leverage, right? Now, say hypothetically, like, you want to influence someone else's behavior. Now, you can't control what they do, no matter how much you try, but you can have leverage. Like, you could say, you know what, if you're going to treat me a certain way, or if you don't behave a certain way, I'm not going to deal with you. That's not control, that's leverage, because you can control yourself, right? And taking it out the realm of relationships, like, you know, just living every day, you have some leverage if you can move from wherever you're living, that you can pay your bills all the time. That's leverage. You know, to me, it's leverage just to make a decision, your decision, where you want to work. Not only where you want to work, but how you want to make your money. Like, are you taking that job because you like that particular field and you like what it represents, or are you taking it because you don't have any other choice, or they the only job to offer you something? Think about that. This is the Deep Thought channel. I don't just talk to talk. Y'all gotta think about stuff with me. All right. So, why are you taking that particular job? Why are you doing that particular thing? All right. Now, I do the things I do now because it gives me leverage. Now, I have leverage. I could, I'm totally self-employed, but I have leverage if I want to go out and say, you know what, I got some free time. I'll get a part-time job doing this. Or with that leverage, I could say, you know what, I don't really want a part-time job, but I feel strongly about this particular charity and I want to just put in a couple hours every week, right? That's leverage. What I'm doing. And what is a personal philosophy of mine is put myself where I can I can make an informed, conscious choice of how I want to interact with the world free of coercion. Because even now, okay, I have me a nice little spot, got a car, but I can always say, you know what? All I need, I could say, you know what? Why not I can get a RV or something. And just drive around or something, and as long as I got internet connection, I can still do what I do, right? And some people do that. That's the beauty of it. I could just say, you know what, I don't need a place, right? I don't need a place, right? I'm making a choice to be where I'm at, right? I'm making a choice. That's leverage. You got leverage over what I want to do, how I want to live, everything, right? I could say, okay, I want to live in this city. And that's part of the reason for what I do. I got leverage. I'm not forced to be in a place for a job. If I can find like an island with a reliable internet connection, I can do my job there. But then that's part of my whole philosophy, seeking that leverage. And I think many people seek leverage, even if it's on a small scale. Like a person, they could be a minimum wage worker, but they seeking leverage by who they ally themselves with on a job. Like one of the fun things I do whenever I've been on a job is figure out the politics. Like people always think I'm real quiet when I start a job. I'll say, no, I'm just sitting back observing the politics. I don't jump in and just like be friendly. I don't even like befriend people necessarily. I'm friendly with them. Work with them, and I sit back and see who does what. All right, I get real quiet. People have said that. I actually got a funny story. I remember I started at this gym, and this kind of not so bright young lady. I think she liked comments. She was kind of snobby, and she was thinking, because I was real quiet, she was actually thinking something was wrong with me. But see, somebody more astute said, no, he just that type. He's going to sit back, learn what he got to learn, figure out who does what, and then he opens up. And that's exactly what I did, right? But then that's part of a leverage thing, right? Because I said, okay, if I had to be on here, I need to put myself in a favorable position. Now, I can't control these other people, and I don't directly control how much money I make, but I'm going to get into that in a second. But I can leverage myself so I'm in the best position. And speaking about that money you make, that's still a leverage thing, because you can leverage it by how valuable you make yourself around that job, right? And I know this sounds like a more for my business channel, but you have to understand with thinking, you have to think holistically. So business, your personal life, everything is intertwined. But getting back to that first point, I got to think about, I'm thinking about trying to make more money. So I said, okay, I got to give them a reason to want to give me more money. So, but I have control over how hard I work and what I do extra, right? Or leverage, rather, because you don't have control. You can do everything and they still say, we ain't going to pay you anymore. But some leverage, I could say, I can make myself viable to the point where they need to pay me to keep me on the job. And that's actually happened I've done that on a couple jobs, just make myself so viable that they got to give me extra money just to keep me around. But that's that leverage thing. So anyway, that's all I got for now. Just think on what I'm saying. Think on this. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.